morning, and this is our final day of our awesome trip. And for the most part, we've had just amazing, clear, sunny skies, and then that's about to change. So I thought I'd show you kind of our route here. You can see we're down here in Nashville, and there's been just a huge low pressure system. So all of this radar is moving counterclockwise. If you don't know ForeFlight, all these orange things are pilot reports here. And then the blue ones are icing pilot reports. The orange ones are turbulence icing reports. So anyway, it's kind of, real handy tool for us to just get an overview. So our plan for today is I'm going to try to get to Rockford, Illinois, just northwest of Chicago, do a quick fuel stop there, and then move on. And then this stuff is moving to the east. So I'm hoping that after we refuel in Rockford, that we'll at least be behind this heavy band, and we'll see if we can get on top of the other layer. As we move through here, there's going to be some weather, so we'll get a chance to use our weather radar. And I always have a backup plan, like if things don't look good. So if they don't look good in this scenario, everything to the east of this line is all clear. So if we get up here and we don't see a good gap, we'll just turn to the right and we'll divert somewhere here in Indiana to get gas. And all my family lives here in Indiana, so that would be just fine. I didn't want to go too far north. There's actually a lot of clear area here with some low clouds, but the problem is we're down into winter temperatures. So if we come further north of this line here, we're going to get pretty iced up if we head in. And so then if we're iced up, it's one thing if it's going to be above freezing at the surface and melt it off quick, but unfortunately it's like 32, 33 degrees. And so if we do get icing, we're not going to be able to melt that off. And so then we'd have to probably de-ice, and now you're talking about a big delay. So that's why I opted, we're going to try Rockford. Rockford is still above freezing. It's some light rain in the area. So if we can get into Rockford, it'll just be a little bit of, rain, which won't stick to the airplane, of course. And then hopefully, like I said, we'll start working our way up there. Definitely today we're going to get a chance to check out the radar, and we'll show you that in flight.
So here we are, we're flying en route to Rockford real quick because we're in and out of some pretty good turbulence here. So you can see this is the satellite image of the radar. And so we're kind of passing, which is nice in between here. And if you look out front, I don't know if you can see all the cloud layers out here. It's just very, very, just a lot of different cloud layers. And then if you come down here, this is the onboard radar. And so you can see the worst weather out to the left here. And this thing down here called gain, if you set it to just calibrate it where it's kind of automatic, it's barely showing that. And that tells me that it's not a lot of rain. So what I do is you can actually adjust the gain of the radar to the sensitivity you want. So if you increase it to 5 decibels and return here, it's just going to make it more sensitive in terms of what we always call it paint. What is the radar
2 Bravo
paint?
Alpha depicting an area of light to heavy precipitation, 10 o'clock in 900 miles. You should pass north of it, but I will let you know if it gets closer.
Okay, we're also showing the same thing on a radar. Appreciate the heads up, 902BA. Okay, so he's basically telling us this right here. So he's keeping an eye on it. It is moving at about 60 knots, but, we're 10 miles from the tip of that turn there, so we should be past it. So you can kind of compare the two. So here's this blob, and that's what it's showing over here. And if we come over here, I can certainly increase the range. And what's happening is you're getting a lot of ground as well. We're pretty low today. We're 10,000 feet. So you're also getting a lot of ground feedback from the weather. So what you would do is you would have to tilt the radar dish up. And you can see as I tilt it up, because we're further away, if you think about it, it's a beam of energy like this. And so as that beam goes out, it's going to hit the ground, and the ground's going to send a signal back, and it's going to paint that ground. So what you normally do is tilt it up until you lose the ground, and then what's left over is generally going to be precipitation, which like you can see there. So I'm going to zoom back in, just because we're kind of making sure that we're clear of this weather here. All right. So that's kind of the difference between the satellite, which is a great kind of picture, over the whole route. And then this is more what we would call tactile, where we're actually making decisions in real time, moving left and right. So onboard weather radar combined with visuals, that's your best bet. 9 times out of 10 when I'm flying, I'm using the visuals of the clouds up. We're over the tops, and so we can see them and we make those decisions above. Unfortunately, I can't clear. The radar tops were in between 25 and like 40,000 feet. So in this airplane, we're not going to be able to clear that. So that's why we're staying low. And then the other decision factor that goes into it is the static air temperature is 2 degrees Celsius. So we're right on that edge of icing. So we were up at 12,000, and then, well, we started at 14, we're going to 12. Now we're down to 10. I'm trying to stay above freezing. We have our propeller heat on, pitot heat on, install and vent heat protection on, just because of getting the icing. So that's kind of the other factor. There's not like storms. I mean, it's just kind of a bumpy ride in the clouds, but there's not going to be storms. I'm more concerned about getting iced up here. So that's kind of what we're doing. That's a little bit of, about the difference between the satellite radar and the onboard radar. And then air traffic control is always very helpful. Workload permitting, they'll constantly give you updates in terms of like what precipitation is coming. They're not required though, so if they don't tell you about something and you see something or you notice something on your either your radar or XM, or FISB if you're doing ADSB, don't think that because ATC didn't tell you that it's not there. It still might be there. They just might be busy and not able to tell you about it. So anyway, just some updates about the radar. Right now we're about 40 minutes from Rockford, Illinois. We're going to stop in there, get some gas, and then head on back to hopefully Grand Forks. We're on the last leg of the flight here. We took off out of Rockford, Illinois, and kind of checked a couple different sources. We had a couple different lines to go through of the weather. In fact, if you want to come down, look at the map here. So taking off out of Rockford, you can see it was still in this system here. So we had to cross this line, and we actually went north. And this gap that's right there, we ended up flying north. It's moved quite a bit, but we had turned it down just a hair.
36-4 crossing Rockford.
So we ended up going through this gap, but it was down here. So it's been actually a pretty nice ride. And once we got through that gap of this system, then we climbed up to be on top. And so if you look outside here, it's just a beautiful day up here. There's an old saying in aviation: it's always a sunny day at the office.
Okay, Roger.
So as long as you can climb up high, it's great. So this part of the system, this low pressure system, is producing a lot of snow up on the north here. And I'm hopeful, we're at 20,000 feet right now, flight level 200. I'm hopeful that'll take us over all this weather. That is an ELT. Hopefully somebody can reset that. So hopefully we'll go over all this weather here. But if we can't, our plan was to divert to the west and go north. But it looks like, looking outside, we're going to make it over all that. So anyway, you can look down here at this screen, and this is our onboard radar. And you can see that it's painting a fairly hefty amount of precip over to the left here, which again, if you zoom in on the map, you can see that's over the Minneapolis area, kind of that sleet it looks like coming into Minneapolis.
Oh, that's us. Alpha, contact Minneapolis Center 121.05.
121.05, 902 baseline. Hello, Minneapolis 902 Bravo Alpha 200.
902 Bravo Alpha, Minneapolis Center, good afternoon.
So anyway, I'm hopeful that it'll be that we'll be over the top of all the weather. And again, if not, we'll just have to go a little bit around it. But this leg, because we stayed under the other weather, and then we climbed up through the other. There was that area just southwest of Madison. We had to go through it, so there's a little bit of bumps, a little bit of light rain, but really overall uneventful so far. And knock on plastic here. We should be on the ground in Grand Forks in an hour and 15 minutes. So we are inbound to Grand Forks. We're currently about 40 miles from the airport, and I'll go ahead and show you on the map here where we are. So we're coming into a fix called Erixie, and that's on the GPS or RNAV approach to runway 35 left. So he cleared us direct to Erixie at or above 3,000, and then into the Grand Forks Airport. So I just set 3,000 in our pre-select, and we've gone ahead and loaded the approach, and we've actually activated the approach since we're cleared for it. But a quick briefing, this is actual conditions. They're saying it's around a 900 overcast, I believe. So we're going to do the RNAV GPS 35 left approach. It's effective 20 March of 2020. Actually, it'll be effective the 26th of March. Inbound course is going to be 354. Will be 2,600 until Jaxby. And then we're down to a bottom altitude of 1,095 feet. Airport elevation is 845 feet. The MSA is North Dakota, you know that, 3,300 feet. And in the event that we do have to go missed approach, it's going to be straight to 2,600 feet, then direct to FOTIP, which is nice. It's kind of straight out. unfortunately, because it's not visual, we'll not be able to just stay with tower, but we'll probably get some alternate instructions from tower once we do go missed approach. Pappy on the left side of 35 left, and we'll expect a right-hand turnoff on Alpha 3. So that's our approach briefing. It's actually been a relatively uneventful flight. We hit a little bit of clouds crossing some of the snow back there, but I mean, it was just some light chop crossing that. And you can see it's really, I like flying in the winter when you have snow because the clouds are fairly low. And so you generally get these nice conditions on top, but you have to go through them. So, of course, if you don't have ice protection, you know, then obviously that would be very bad. But for us, we have heated props, so our prop heat is on, just so we don't forget. The prop heat heats up the propellers so that we can still develop thrust. And then we also have what's called pneumatic boots on our wings. They inflate and deflate. And they do an okay job. They'll get off like some of the bigger pieces of ice, but it still leaves a lot of ice on the airplane. And so what you generally do is you fly a little bit of a faster speed because you're closer to that stall speed. I'll try and, it's going to be really bumpy. The winds are like gusting to 36 knots. So we'll try and have Katie record as we're coming down on the final just so you can kind of see breaking out on the GPS approach. But it may be fairly bumpy. Overall, though, another uneventful flight, and we'll see you in a little bit. All right, so we are inbound on the RNAV approach here into Grand Forks. For about a 5-mile final. And we are just intercepting the glide path here. And we have a little bit of ice out in the wings if you want to look out over the wing there. And what I'll do is I'm going to actually run the ice boots. So right now it starts with the tail. So it's going to inflate the tail boots. And then you'll see here in a second, it'll inflate the boots on the wing. And so if we had a lot of ice, it would break it off by inflating like that. You can come back out front here. So now we're just in the clouds. And if you look down here on our instruments, you can come down here. You can see we're all lined up. We've got a picture of the runway there. That green circle is the target where the aircraft is actually moving, which is pretty awesome. It's showing that we're on left and right and on glide path. And we can come back out here now. And actually, here, let me see that. There's a lot of ice on that windshield. We have a de-ice here on the pilot side. So that's what I'm looking out. In these twin Cessnas, we don't have anything on the co-pilot side, just on the left side. So we're already breaking out here, so I'll pass it back over here. And we got the runway in sight, so we're not going to do any instrument calls. And tower, the bases are about 1,900.
2 Bravo Alpha, right there.
And whenever we have ice on the aircraft, we're going to fly just a little bit faster of an approach, because that ice will disrupt the smooth airflow over the wing. All right, so I'm going to turn the windshield heat off and the propeller heat off. This autopilot is doing just a tremendous job of holding the approach right here and some pretty substantial winds. All right, I'm going to turn the heater off. Disconnect the autopilot here. All right, yaw dampers off. We're going to leave the flaps at 30 degrees. We're at 105 knots. We're nice and lightweight here. And I'm going to touch down closer to the numbers. Oh, look at that bird. Wow. All right. Welcome to Grand Forks.
2 Bravo Alpha, where are you parking today?
We're going to the main FBO.
Okay, right turn at Alpha 4 and straight in with me. You guys have a good one.
Alpha 4, straight in with you, 902B. Have a great day.
We landed in Grand Forks. We're